A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Lunchtime News, come to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Florine Rajendran. Let's now take a look at your headlines. Central Province Governor Tikiri Kubak to resign from his position. Minister Partly Champika Ranavika says that no one will escape punishment for committing crime and corruption just because they joined the government. Sri Lanka Customs confiscates a stock of cigarettes worth 130 million rupees. Investigations commence into the floating armoury discovered on board a ship in the Galle harbour. On to those stories in detail now. Central Province Governor Tikiri Kubak has decided to resign from his position.
When contacted by Newsfirst, Governor Kubek divulged that his letter of resignation will be submitted to the Presidential Secretariat today. While Governor Tikiri Kubek was appointed to his position in 2005, his term of office is due to end in December this year.
President Maithripala Sirisena visited the Mahasangha at the Dharmapalarama Viharaya in Mount Lavinia yesterday and obtained their blessings.
Upon arriving at the Viharaya, the President first engaged in religious observances. Subsequently, the President met with the Anunayaka of the Amarapura chapter, the Venerable Kotugoda Dhammavasatera, and inquired into his well-being. The Anunayaka had pointed out to the President that the people have great faith that he would render an immense service to the country. The President also visited the Vidyalankara Pirivena in Kalaniya yesterday and met with the Mahasangha.
Minister of Power and Energy Partly Champika Ranavika took part in a public rally yesterday. The rally was held in the Kotayara area in Avisavila.
අපේ ජනතාව අතරේ අද තියෙනවා පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් කෝ මේ පිරිස් වලට දඬුවම් ලැබෙනවද?
The public face a small problem. They question as to whether those who did wrong will face punishment because some of them are leaving the country. There is also a question as to whether those who have joined the government will go without punishment. We would firstly like to state that this is a public uprising. All ministers and government representatives will gather in Parliament on the 20th of this month in order to assist in the implementation of the 100-day program. But make note that this will not be a way to escape from crime and fraud. We have appointed 10,000 police officers and coordinating officers who are tasked with investigating crimes and corruption and bring the perpetrators to book. Party leaders have already held discussions on this matter. We are making preparations to establish a systematic institution with regard to this in our first cabinet ministers meeting. We request that you will give us written letters with any information that you have.
පළවෙනි අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩල රැස්වීමේදීම ඒ පිළිබඳ විධිමත් ආයතනයක් ස්ථාපිත කරන්න නියමිතයි. ඔබ සියලු දෙනාම අප වෙත ඔබ සතු සියලු තොරතුරු ලිඛිතව අප වෙත ලබා දෙන්නේ කියලා අපි ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Deputy Minister of Justice Sujiva Senasinghe spoke about the current political situation in the country at a meeting held in Kaduvela yesterday.
எவ்வாறான அரசியல் தீர்மானங்களை மேற்கொண்டாலும் நீங்கள் அது தொடர்பில் சந்தேகம் கொள்ள தேவையில்லை.
Former Deputy Minister of Transport Rohana Disanayake convened a media briefing yesterday.
We are at a point where we have to carry out our work after making proper inquiries because due to some reason our current leader, contrary to our expectations, is in power. I must make it clear that we are ready to support His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena to fulfill all our responsibilities in helping him create an atmosphere of good governance.
The Ministry of Ports and Shipping says that the harbour master at Galle has been ordered to submit a report on the floating armoury discovered on board a ship at the Galle harbour. Subject Minister Arjuna Ranatunga said that a team has been deployed from Colombo in order to carry out investigations into the matter.
To obtain the necessary information, we need to receive the report on the incident. Once we receive that, we can discuss what needs to be done on our part. I think an extensive investigation should be launched into this incident, together with the President and the Prime Minister, especially as the President is the current Minister of Defence and the Deputy Minister of Defence, should conduct an investigation and stop the issuance of such weapons to private companies, because it may become a problem to national security in the future. Meanwhile, State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena said that special investigations will be launched into the floating armoury that was discovered on board the vessel anchored at the Galle harbour. He said that discussions will be carried out with the commanders of the Navy and Army in this regard. He went on to say that those responsible will be brought in and interrogated.
Deputy Minister of Justice Sujiva Senasinghe spoke about the current political situation in the country at a meeting held in Kaduwala yesterday.
Do not doubt
the political decision that you have made. Maithripala Sirisena is only a president. He does not engage in politics. He has been given the post of chairmanship only as a title. The political activities of the party will be carried out by someone like Nimal Siripala. Maithripala Sirisena does not belong to any party, and there are others who have rendered their assistance. President Maithripala Sirisena is only trying to fulfill his promise to establish good governance and the law.
මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්මයා මේ රටේ කරන්නේ නීතිය යහපාලනය ස්ථාපිත කරලා දුන්න පොරොන්දු ඉටු කරන එක පමණයි.
On to one of our headline-making stories, a stock of illegally imported cigarettes worth 130 million rupees was seized by customs officials today. The stock of 4.4 million illegally imported cigarettes was discovered when customs officials opened a suspicious container today. Customs media spokesperson and legal director Leslie Garmini noted that the stock of cigarettes had been imported to the country on the 19th of this month and that the documentation had been prepared, making the cargo to a detergent powder. Two newly appointed state ministers assumed duties in their relevant ministries this morning. State Minister of Civil Aviation Faisal Mustafa assumed duties this morning. He assumed duties at the Civil Aviation Office situated at Setsirpaya, Bathramula. Faisal Mustafa, who received his primary and secondary education from Royal College, is a practicing President's Counsel. He entered politics in 2004 and became a parliamentarian representing the Kandy district. He was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Tourism in 2005 and later went on to hold the posts of Deputy Minister of Environment, Deputy Minister of Technology and Research and Deputy Minister of Investment Promotion.
I have a major role to play in being accountable to civil society. At the same time, we know that our country is an island. The airport is an essential part of our island. I believe that 7 million people used our airport last year. We have two airline companies in the form of Sri Lankan Airlines and Mihin. We have two international airports. The public has major problems with regard to the institutions under my ministry. Some people have said that some of the payments can be made 3 times over using the loss incurred by Sri Lankan Airlines. That is the public opinion that has arisen. I will pay special attention to fraud and corruption. There is a view among the people that the institutions under my ministry are extremely corrupt. I will not point the finger at anyone or level accusations without proper evidence. At the same time, while eradicating fraud and corruption, we must, through action, ensure good governance. We will implement the 100-day program in the ministry and in all institutions under the ministry.
Meanwhile, newly appointed State Minister of Children's Affairs Rosie Senanayake also assumed duties this morning. Representing the Colombo district in 2009, she entered the Western Provincial Council, obtaining 80,884 votes, and is the chief organizer of the UNP for the Colombo West electorate. The newly appointed State Minister of Children's Affairs expressed these views.
අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යාංශයත් එක්ක එකතු වී දරුවන්ගේ සුරක්ෂිතභාවය සම්බන්ධයෙන්
We will be working with the judiciary to hold discussions as to how we can provide legal security to children, something that we can clearly see and something that I have always questioned even as an MP to the judiciary is about the increase of child abuse cases on a daily basis. But there are only a handful who are punished. This is an amazing fact even to the world. Not only this, today we can see that our children are growing surrounded by a drug culture. I will work towards eradicating this drug culture and to rehabilitate children who are drug addicts and create a stable environment in which they could grow in. There are children who have psychological problems or are facing sexual abuse. There are also children who have not received a proper education and are faced with poverty. We will establish a special unit in the ministry where these children can contact us directly so we can assist them.
වෙනමම කාර්යාංශයක් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉදිරි අනාගතයේදී අපි දියත් කිරීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, a service to invoke blessings on the new government and the newly appointed ministerial secretaries was held at Narayanpeta yesterday.
The event was organised by the chief incumbent of the Narayanpeta Dharmayathanaya, Venerable Ulapane Sumangala Thero. A group including state officials and ministerial secretaries were present at the event. The group held a special Atavisi Buddha Puja and invoked blessings.
Moving into news overseas, Pope Francis departed the Philippines this morning after a 5-day visit, his final mass drawing between 6 to 7 million people. Philippine President Benigno Aquino, along with members of his cabinet, held a farewell ceremony for the pontiff at Villamoy Air Base. The Philippines laid on the largest security operation in its history with about 50,000 police and soldiers on hand. Pope Francis's car was flanked by police vehicles, which sometimes made it difficult for people to see him. During his trip, Pope Francis, a champion of the poor, pulled no punches in calling for a more just and caring society in the Philippines, which is about 80% Catholic. The Pope urged government officials to reject every form of corruption which diverts resources from the poor and to make concerted efforts to ensure the inclusion of every man and woman and child. The 78-year-old Pope concluded his trip to Asia with an open-air mass for a rain-drenched crowd in Manila that the Vatican and government said drew up to 7 million people, the largest ever for a papal event. Thousands lined the roads in the Philippine capital today to wave goodbye to Pope Francis as he concluded his trip to Asia. The Pope's plane took off from Manila at about 10 a.m. local time in clear blue skies, a stark contrast to the stormy weather since he arrived on Thursday. The Philippines counts 80 million Roman Catholics, making it the largest Catholic country in Asia. And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here at News First. For the News First team, I'm Florine Rajendran. Have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Hotline 0114 896 896 www.newsfirst.